And you're all the way here. Relaxing into the energy, not forcing it, letting that inform you, letting it call you forward, revealing the next idea, the next idea, the next idea. It's a creative process, not to figure out the one answer, but to enjoy the process.
Hmm. And I think that that's such an important
Mm.
point. Enjoy the process, because I've been aware of, well, in talking with some clients about how we as humans always want to know kind of what's down the road before we get there, kind of thing. We want to, like, know where we're going and who's going to be there and if it's going to be comfortable. Or, I mean, I do this a lot, that control. And when we stop and understand, or when I stop and understand that I have a relationship to, this world, or to myself and others in every moment that I'm experiencing this life, it's a different way of being. It's a different way of living.
And that's the determining factor. That's how you decide. That's how you know what you're stepping toward, what you're moving toward right here, right now. You want to refine that a little bit more, refine this a little bit more. You want to enjoy that with more depth and richness. Don't wait for them. Experience it right here and right now.
Yeah.
And if you cannot, then you must find a way.
Yeah. Yeah, the person I was speaking with earlier today, she left her apartment because it was too hot and the air conditioning wasn't working, but she didn't know where she wanted to go. But she ended up in a nice Airbnb with some wonderful people, which to me seemed like, kind of the result of her making the decision. I don't want to be uncomfortable anymore. I want to be comfortable. Right? But then she got all kinds of stressed out about, well, where do I go? What do I do? How do I, do I want to go to California? Do I want to go to Colorado? Do I want to go to Arizona? And it was so stressful and anxiety ridden for her that she,
Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Yes.
yes, yeah.
It's
But
always like that if you're acting out from that place of stress, as you call it.
yeah, that's what I thought, Joseph. That's what I thought about. Like, really, she could choose to see the comfort that she had now and
Mm.
focus on that and let that be kind of the appreciation and the way of living. But
But if you spend so much of your life in that fight or flight, or as you're saying, stress, then when you move into other experiences and they're still evoking that same reaction from you, you just say that that's what life is.
yeah,
You observe it with other people. You won't observe, you won't notice, you won't accept or believe in the opposite of that in the experience of others or in the experience of yourself. So you won't see it.
yeah, yeah.
You'll see people around you stressed out, running around, trying to survive.
Mm,
And of course, it's real to you. That's the self fulfilling cycle that you're continuing to create.
mm,
So it's about changing orientation, changing emphasis, changing focus. And much of that is dependent on accepting the way that this all works, that your state of being is affecting your future experiences, it's affecting your now. And as you do accept it, then the decision can be fully, wholeheartedly made for that shift of energy. Because otherwise, why would you do it? Does not make sense in any other context. You would not make the priority for your own comfort and well being if you don't think that you deserve it. You won't find the things that bring you joy if you think that all joy is fleeting.
yeah. So that brings up a really good point about my relationship with everything. Um, and I wanted to just explore this idea a little bit, that if I see my dog and I like my dog and I feel happy around my dog and I'm petting my dog, my emotion is flowing in relationship to that um, dog
Yes,
in a happy way, right? And 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 there's kind of like an exchange of energy.
there is.
Okay. And it's like that then with everything. So if I'm looking at a leaf and it's really cool and I think, wow, this color green's awesome, and I'm really enjoying it, my emotion is intermingling with that leaf's energy, right? There's
It
a
is.
plane that we're
Yes,
communicating on in that way, right? Energetically.
indeed.
So it's like that with everything. If I'm um, doing a lot of spreadsheets and I get really tired of doing the
Mm.
spreadsheets, and then I start to get angry or frustrated or, you know, uncomfortable, then I have created that discomfort with that. I can shift that
Yes.
into, I think I'll go for a walk. I
Mm.
think I'll get a glass of water. I think I'll just let this go for now. I think I'll just,
Whatever it takes.
yeah.
But don't expect yourself to be able to do it on the fly if you're not able to do it on the fly. Give yourself that breather, take as long as it takes
Yeah.
to find that shift of energy. And the more you practice it, you can be in the middle of a disagreement with someone and take a breath and feel the shift.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
I have a
Yeah.
question. Sorry,
Yeah.
Marilyn. I want
No,
to
no, go
piggyback.
ahead.
I want to piggyback on what Marilyn said. So, isn't there an underlying reason why, like she's saying, let's say you're doing paperwork and you're getting upset, your energy is changing. So, isn't is it something else that's causing that you're not even aware about that's making that happen? Like
Well,
some
your
kind of an under.
awareness is what is perpetuating it. Whatever you're aware of is what's giving you that feedback in that energetic sense. So when we're talking about awareness, we can be talking about the dog that you're enjoying the presence of or the walk. We could also
Hmm.
be talking about the thoughts that are going on within your own mind. Because you can be, as you are, in this beautiful environment on the beach, saying how little you're enjoying your experience, and you could not feel that connection. In other words, you could be in the most beautiful place in the world but still have that old habit that's playing on feedback, and you're not going to accept the wonderful things that are there for you. And we also want you to know that every moment is that. There is always another idea, there's always that next step, there's always the inspiration just on the tip of your tongue. And it's only your approach, your belief,
Hmm.
your perspective that causes the friction. And the opposite of that is true as well. You could be in what you might consider a miserable state, but
Hmm.
decide in that day to find a little bit of joy. And that decision is going to light that up for you and then draw you forward into more of those experiences. So we want you to find the joy anywhere you can. But if that puppy is bringing you joy and you need the puppy there, you're dependent on that external circumstance. So we want you to broaden your ability to experience that. So as you're asking if there's something that you're not aware of, well,
Hmm.
don't try too hard to figure it out. Just have that energetic emotional feeling, let that be in your awareness. And if you start to feel the friction or the tension, let that be enough to tell you to back away from whatever you're moving into.
Hmm. So just try to be like in the moment, like try to create that energy, that shift, shift, pretty much.
No matter what it takes.
Hmm.
And it can seem like a challenge, but it is also the greatest freedom that you could ever ask for. Because if you know that shifting your state of being is having such a powerful effect on your future experience, and you know that they're not all, none of them are responsible for making that shift, well, now you have the keys to the kingdom. Because as you make it a practice, just like you would practice anything else, you don't expect to pick up a violin and to be masterful if you have not played it before. You practice and practice and practice. And the same is true with this. And we think it deserves your practice, and you deserve to receive the benefit of that practice. But what do you practice? You just have to find that essence, even if it's just a whiff of it, even if it's just a hint. And you follow it and you follow it and you follow it. And everything else comes from that. And don't worry about trying to figure the other stuff out, because the solution, the answer, the new idea that you're looking for is going to come to you through this process anyway.
Even if it's someone else causing your upset, like your husband, wives, or whatever, your brother, your son, you know that they're causing this emotion. So even that.
Yes. When you're in that conversation and you're feeling the tension or frustration or anything like that, you can move away from that. Find an excuse, find any reason, anything that will give you just that cooling off or that relaxation or a little bit of relief. And then that's when the answers come. That's where the inspiration comes. That's where the resolution to those disagreements come from. They don't come from digging in and fighting it out and hashing it out and venting to one another. They come from stepping away from that, letting yourself recognize the feeling, letting the new idea start to reveal itself to you, letting it grow, and then you say, oh, I have the answer. Have you noticed that if you're in that disagreement and you're both even trying your best to figure it all out, it only gets worse and worse and worse?
Yeah.
What's the constant within that? It's the feeling. It's the energy. You could be saying the nicest things in the world, but if you're not feeling it, you're offering something else and you'll be receiving something else. So you just have to drop it.
I think we, like you said, it's something that you practice, because I think we forget that we have that ability to just go there.
And when you start seeing the results more and more, it becomes easier and easier to practice it. But if you've never had enough money and you've decided to apply this to your finances, we know there is a greater gap at times for you to accept that. So you start with just whatever you can find, whatever little shift, whatever little energy, whatever little abundance you can recognize. Let that grow and grow and grow, and it will lead you further down that path. And then, as in this instance, abundance is revealing itself to you in many different ways, it becomes easier and easier for you to accept it and then apply it to other things. In other words, I've seen it happen in my relationships. I've seen it happen with my finances. Now I would like to see it with my feeling good in my body, or I'd like to apply it to helping others or whatever. It's all the same process.
Okay. Practice.
Indeed.
Practice and practice.
Practice that recognition, that awareness. When you're there, recognize it. Say, ooh, that felt good. That breath of fresh air, that sunlight on my face, that calling of that bird, that conversation with that friend, that felt really nice. I really like that. And then as you appreciate it and allow yourself to fully enjoy it, that's what you're practicing.
Mm.
That's the practice. And if you find it slipping away, you're still practicing, but you're practicing something else.
Mm.
Whatever you practice is going to become a habit. And these habits will determine your experience.
You know, it comes up for me sometimes recently. I really have felt a lot. Um, I felt that shift, that refinement a lot, um, happening a lot quicker, and which is awesome. But what comes up for me is that, well, maybe I should be taking this situation more seriously, or maybe I
No.
should. Well, why does that come up? It's like, you know, well, I shouldn't be feeling so good about this situation because this is a horrible thing. Like it's that there's this weird, um, weird difference between those thoughts that come up. Like I should really be feeling bad, but I'm not. It's kind of I don't know, maybe it's just, again, a little bit more practice. But when I feel really good, and I have been, um, able to make those shifts around all kinds of situations lately and free. I feel that freedom, which is amazing. Um, yeah, that just comes up sometimes like, well, wait a minute, I should be taking this a little bit more seriously than I am.
So that I can what?
So that I can, oh, I know, so that I can change it, so that I can make it better, so that I can fix it.
Has that worked?
No. No, it hasn't.
So
No.
there's no reason to hold on to that unless you're doing it for the gratification of others.
What do you mean by that?
She's putting her nose to the grindstone. She's really a hard worker. She
Oh,
gets it done.
oh,
She
yeah.
puts her mind to it and she grinds through it, and she's a hard worker. She's a hard worker. Yes, I've seen her work hard. She hasn't got a lot done, but she's working hard.
No, don't say that. That sounds awful.
We are playing a little bit, but you're so much more productive, so much more effective when you're enjoying the process.
Yeah, yeah. I went to bed last night. I was very tired, but I felt like I had accomplished so much yesterday. I was honest with myself. I stood up for myself in a way that was really supportive of myself. I had listened to you about tension and relax, and my blood pressure is normal. And then I had 9 students in the class that I taught yesterday. It was like such a wonderful day. It was such a wonderful day. And I was so tired. And I went to sleep and I felt so good. And um, I don't know. It was almost like this feeling of everything kind of coming together in a beautiful way.
And what is the central point? It's you and your state of being. That's the locus, that's the focus, that's the central point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had been really, paying attention or aware of when I had let myself kind of, you know, backslide or look like the way you talk about go down another path. I brought myself back. And and just doing that, just being able to do that, like was that gave me confidence. Like that gave me enjoyment.
As it should. That's where all confidence and enjoyment comes from. That's the process.
Yeah.
Confidence because you know that when you make that shift, all the good stuff is coming to you. Confidence because you know that you can make that shift.
Yeah.
And of course, the feeling of making that shift is that enjoyment that you're speaking of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in the same way, we can speak of a self-fulfilling cycle and not so good stuff. What you've described is a self-fulfilling cycle, but on the other side of that.
Yeah. It was definitely like, walking on cloud nine in a, good way. Yeah. Really good way.
And soon new ideas will come. And as soon as you let yourself enjoy them, you'll
Mm.
be on the way to even more. Cloud 10.
Okay. Cloud 10. That's good. I did have another question about ascending and descending. I don't know if those things are real, but what I anticipate, what I want to say is that if we are God's source experiencing the human existence, is there like a lower limit of density that we've chosen to experience in order to enjoy the ascension into a higher frequency of less density?
The enjoyment is certainly part of it, but it is also the refinement of all of the new experience that comes from that.
Okay. So you mean like the creative process of using my awareness and my intelligence and, my connection, my soul connection through the experiences of ascension?
And the newness of the experience, because as you're living your life, you're encountering all of this detail, all of these new ideas, new experiences, new conversations. And from that, as we speak, comes the expansion, which then you allow yourself to ascend to experience that. The ascension is just an ascending refinement of your own state of being.
Yeah.
Because again, in order to see anything outside of yourself, you must find that reflection in this moment. So if you want to see ascension, what does that mean to you? How can you ascend? We call it refine your state of being. And
Yeah.
the answer is to practice.
Yeah. There's more of a feeling of like I mean, people talk about unity consciousness, but there is more of a sense of being at one with sort of a higher version of myself, or a more expanded version of myself, I should say, maybe.
But unity, of course, with what? Because as you're in this wonderful state of being and seeing everything that you've been talking about wanting, showing itself to you week after week, you're in unity with all of those experiences. Those who participate, the students who are drawn, they're part of the unity of that same state of being, that
Hmm.
same frequency, if you would.
Yeah. Okay. I know I'm trying to break it down here a little bit. I just wondered
You
if.
see the birds flying in migration, there is that unity, that consistency, all of them as one.
Yeah.
That's unity.
Yeah.
So you can be in unity with all of the disgruntled drivers on the
Oh.
road, or you can be in unity with the people who are seeking the solutions that you're offering.
Okay. Okay. And that relationship comes from my desire or my intention to experience a, for me, a joyful kind of exchange or interaction with them, or with the bird, or with other happy drivers.
And
uh,
we're mincing words here, but it does continue to refine it. Your intention is what then allows you to find that state of being, which then drives those experiences.
because my intention allows the intelligence, the um, the guidance.
If you see things around you that are really awful and you want to feel your own interconnection regardless of anything that's going on, you place that intention.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's all it takes. Then you practice it, you feel that state of being, and the new experiences come to you.
Okay. And anything that gets in the way of that, like I think I should take things more seriously or stuff like that, is just really my limited perception.
You could call it an old habit, but the fact of the matter is that it is going on right here, right now. So, what are you going to deal with? Are you going to deal with all of the inherited beliefs of old time? Or are you just going to work with right here, right now, what's coming up? So, that's all you have to notice.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I have another question. So, is it true that your subconscious mind is the one that makes you feel that you should do better or you're not good enough or something like that? Like put that other negative thought there.
If you're calling subconscious the habits that you're not aware of, then yes. But as soon as you
Okay.
become aware of the habit, it is no longer subconscious, it is fully conscious. You're aware of it. The only question is, do you want to give it more energy? Do you want to give it more momentum? Do you want to perpetuate it? Or do you want to let it play itself out to just
So
lose some steam?
so just basically put your intention there, whatever it is that you want.
Put your intention on feeling the way you think it's going to make you feel.
Yeah. If you're feeling bad, put your intention to feel another, like a happier or a different feeling.
Indeed. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as dropping it and going for some fresh air. It's as simple as no longer talking about it. It's as
Mm.
simple as playing some music that you love.
But you can't repress the if you're having feelings coming up around, that are kind of preventing you from moving on. You have to at least acknowledge that, oh, I'm in this state of feeling really yucky right now, and I don't want to feel yucky, but I know why I'm feeling yucky. So, but I don't want to feel yucky. So I'm going to move into something that's more enjoyable. I'm going to listen to some music, or, it's sort of like you have to like make that choice, right? You have to
Indeed.
go from.
If we're pushing, we're not saying at all fight any of those feelings or to deny that you feel in that way, but it is recognizing your state of being and doing whatever you can to change that state of being. Even if it's dropping the subject, even if it's dropping all thought and just focusing on your breath.
Yeah. Hmm. I can feel the resistance come up when you say that. It's so funny, but I know that it's like, mm, but no, I totally understand because I've been practicing the, you know, kind of idea of shifting.
To celebrate that awareness. You have the awareness. You have the awareness of the choice. You have the awareness of that fulcrum. You have the awareness of those levers,
Yeah.
the path, the fork in the road. You have the awareness. I could go down this way and I know what that feels like. I can go down this way and I know what it leads me to.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Hmm. Last week you said something that I've been thinking about. You talked about letting go. And you said you're just sort of refining some ideas. But the idea of letting go and surrender is what I've been thinking about. So, letting go sometimes means like letting go of whatever I've been focusing on that keeps me in this old pattern, this old energy. Surrender feels like moving into like not even um without almost uh it's like opening up to a higher or a more expansive idea, just surrendering all of it, the thought, the emotion, the desire, and just like being.
Well, let's use meditation as an example,
Yeah.
because that's all that that process is.
Yeah.
You have the thought, you don't like it, and you let it go.
Yeah.
In letting go, you then surrender, if you would, you give it up so that something new can come in.
Yeah. And it's almost like, though, the surrender part of, if there's an action, side of it, is this sort of opening to this, sort of more expansive energy, and just being in that energy and allowing that, like the letting go is actually releasing the thought and the, but the surrender feels more like being the new consciousness, or the open.
So think of the idea as something that you're holding. Here's the idea, and you don't like it. It's uncomfortable. It makes you uneasy, and you feel the need to solve it and to fix it and to make it go away.
Yep.
And you've been carrying it around for a while, and every once in a
Yep.
while you'll pick it up and recognize that you still have it and still have that feeling. And so then you're going into meditation, and you're letting it go. You're setting it aside, and you're just being in the moment. And then, in other words, you've surrendered this. What have you surrendered it to? You've surrendered it to the flow of inner energy that's going to wash away any traces of that lingering negativity, if you would. You're surrendering it to that inner inspiration
Yeah.
that's going to take this old idea and to create something wonderful from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Remember that energy is flowing, flowing, flowing,
Okay.
flowing. So when you let something go, you've surrendered it as if you have a powerful stream that you just set it in there and the stream takes it away.
Mhm.
You've let it go, you've surrendered it to the flow of that inner energy, which is going to bring everything else that you want.
That's a nice metaphor. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay. That helps. Mhm. Yeah. So the energy, the inner energy, the sense of, inner energy feels like joy, and feels like, when I'm in the world, like, and doing stuff that feels resonant with me, it really feels like, oh, this is a really cool feeling. I want this to happen, and this is awesome. And, look at this, we're all together, whatever that happy feeling is, in reflects in the world, that that feels like the inner energy. And I have time, everybody has times, when maybe they're like, oh, I kind of feel like yucky today. I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm irritable, so um so I think that what I've learned is that maybe I can't be in the complete joy in that moment, but what I can do is find like a little bridge that, says, okay, I'm aware that I'm feeling cranky, but look, it's raining, and the plants are happy, so I can just, is that forcing myself, or is that
You can
Practice.
tell by the way it feels. We would say it's practicing.
Oh,
If
yeah.
it feels forced or contrived,
Okay.
then ease up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel that crankiness, as you say, anything like that. And it will resolve itself if you allow it. But when we speak of resisting the resistance, it's if you're mad at yourself for not feeling wonderful, then it's not going to get any better.
Right.
But
Right.
again, you have that inner energy flowing, flowing, flowing. So if you can just let go a little bit, it'll help move you in the direction of that resolution.
Yeah.
But you have to accept that it exists, that it's there.
Yeah. I totally believe it's there. Totally. Like, yeah. My whole view of, you know, what happens in life has changed because of the work with you, Joseph. Like, yeah. Yeah. It's evolved in a way that I totally believe that the energy, the force of flow of God within us is so powerful that I don't know even how powerful it is, but it's so powerful that it's all like working out. And I got to get myself out of the way sometimes.
So we were doing the process. You appreciated it.
Yeah.
You described it. You talked about all of the things that you love.
Yeah.
Now be softer when you say things like, I just have to get myself out of the way, because that's a little bit, just a little bit. We know that the feeling is subtle and that you've practiced this enough that you're not going to go down that path,
Right.
but you're just gaining more clarity. It's just refining things that bother you now would have seemed like a luxury to be disturbed about not too
Yeah.
long ago.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
same will be true moving forward. That's the creative process. That's why we call this an eternal self, an eternal process.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing is like when I don't know the answer and I feel like I'm searching for one, like I want an answer to what's going to happen and what things are going to look like. The coolest thing is that I say to myself, you know what I what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling now in this moment is affecting what's happening in every other moment. So I bring myself back to this place of I would love to have that answer. And if it's not here now, that's okay. I'm sure it'll be at the right time in the right place. It's sort of like, and that is such a relief.
Letting go and surrendering to the flow of that inner energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is a relief. Yeah. So cool beans.
Indeed. You're all enjoying yourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the process continues.
Yeah. Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else here?
Um, no, I don't think so.
So don't try too hard with this. Just feel it. Just feel. Just be aware of the way that you're feeling. This feels a little worse. Let's back off. This feels quite nice. Let's really dive into it. Don't judge yourself for any thoughts that come up that don't feel good. Just accept it. Let it go.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the inner energy will take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoyment, yes. Enjoyable.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very much. We are complete.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hey.
Hey, Aaron.
Hello.
Hey, hey.
Thank
Good to
you.
be back.
Well,